Este es Aaron con enacomputers.com. Otro video para ti hoy. Open source Office Suite Apache OpenOffice has released a new version 4.1.5 which fixes some bugs and has a update to the language files. Caveat, this will be a longer video because I'm going to demonstrate how to install this software on Windows 10. I don't use Apache OpenOffice anymore. I ditched it years ago. I still recommend it over micro crap Office, but back in the day I used to use it, and I'm going to install it on Windows 10 on a spare machine. So quickly, before I demonstrate installing it on Windows 10, there are 3 bug fixes in this version of Apache OpenOffice 4.1.5. Diagrams in calculator document corrupted when saved is one bug fix. Fixes previous bug fix 12.7.568 that caused another bug. That sometimes happens. Linux is not perfect. Micro crap, micro slop, wind blows, micro shit, whatever you want to refer to it, is far from perfect. Mac, Apple Macintosh operating systems and hardware is not perfect. Copying all content causes writer crash. So those 3 bugs have been rectified, and then the English language dictionaries have been updated. Now with Apache OpenOffice 4.1.5 or just the newer versions of Apache OpenOffice, they support Winblow's operating system, x86 only, I think. They support x86 32-bit and x64 64-bit Linux distributions, as well as Macintosh operating systems. I think it might be only Mac OS 10.6 and 10.7, but nah, that doesn't seem right. There's some sketchy. Overall, I did not think that Apache OpenOffice was productive. Back in the day when it was known as just OpenOffice, it was excellent. I had to change to LibreOffice because once Apache took over OpenOffice, they changed it, and it just, even their parts of their website is slow. But I would prefer this way over micro crap Office. I only make videos usually about software that I use. If I do not have software installed on my main computers or my backup computers, or as my data recovery business, I don't make videos, because how would I know if that software is productive for me, and why would I recommend it? But I do recommend Apache OpenOffice over microcrap Office. Now, there are 2 known issues with this version of Apache OpenOffice 4.1.5. The first one deals with Microsoft Windows. It supports Java version 8, however, it will get flagged as defective. The way to fix that problem is to download Microsoft Visual C++ 2010 redistributable package, which I included a direct link in my blog post on my website, enacomputers.com, that is linked to in the description box of this video below, on YouTube and on Dailymotion. On TopBuzz, they do not allow external URLs. I am getting decent views on TopBuzz. I'm getting more views on TopBuzz than Dailymotion, and I'm making more money on TopBuzz than Dailymotion. So all you have to do is download Microsoft Visual C++ 2010, and then you will no longer get a warning that that Java is defective. I don't recommend that you use Java because it's a security risk. It's bloated. It's bloatware. I've never really liked Java for like at least a decade, if not longer. But some applications require Java, and then you have no choice. But if it was up to me, I would not use it at all, except for, I think there is 1 or 2 pieces of software that I use that require Java. The second known issue with this version of Apache OpenOffice 4.5.1. I think earlier I called it 4.1.5. So I must have some form of dyslexia. Or it's early in the morning. Whichever excuse you want to apply to me and my alleged narcissism. All right. I'm glad I no longer allow any comments on my YouTube channel. The second issue deals with Apple Macintosh. On Apple OS, their gatekeeper, it's literally called a gatekeeper. It is. It's right here. Yeah, I mean, that's not an accident. Have you ever studied what a gatekeeper really means? It's a control freak. It's a individual, corporation, government, military, whatever, that is a control freak and get it? They control the gates. They only allow certain individuals past that gate. They do not allow the serfs, or whatever you want to refer to us as, commoners. It's only the elite that gets past the gates. Well, newer versions of Apple operating systems has what is known as the gatekeeper, which basically is built-in malware detection and maybe viruses. That's very rare to me. Viruses on a Mac are very rare. Even malware is rare to me compared to Microsoft. However, they've got that built-in facility called Gatekeeper that will flag, believe it or not, it will flag Apache OpenOffice as, what is it? Yeah, it just flags the software as, being malware or whatever. So just be aware of that. Now, I'm not going to go over that because I think most of my subscribers, I don't know what my percentages are. I don't quite frankly care. I don't have time to care. But I would say most of my listeners, if I have any, my loyal subscribers, if I have any, I've been trolled by my own subscribers. So I am very suspicious and, not politically correct when it comes to subscribers. I don't want to digress what my true feelings about YouTube subscribers are. It's a waste of time and money. You don't make money. You don't really make, you might, anyways, I don't want to digress about that again. There are ways to rectify that if you're using Macintosh operating system. I'm not going to go over that. And if you're offended by not me including the possible solutions, I don't give a fuck. They're lengthy, and I didn't think it was productive to include it. You can ask your question via the link to my blog post at my website, anetcomputers.com, if you need help, bypassing the built-in Apple Gatekeeper. Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate how to install this. I have a separate Windows 10. I need 3 Windows 10 computers, believe it or not. My main computer, although I'm thinking of ditching Windows 10 on my main computer, the only reason why I did it is because a couple years ago Microsoft had the free upgrade to Windows 10, and I really try not to pay for Windows operating system if I can't. I'm a computer repair technician, data recovery, and also I recycle computers. And sometimes I get computers that are like quad cores. And I used an old Windows 7 COA sticker, certificate of authenticity license, and then I upgraded this to Windows 10. But I'm thinking of going back to Linux. I am a supporter. I use all 3 major operating systems. I've used Unix. Back in the day, I used HPUX in a corporate environment. I've used Sun Solaris. I've used Sun operating system, which is Unix. So I'm not biased. I don't give a fuck, really, and I'm not a nationalist. I don't care what this. I'm not a cult follower. I use all 3 major operating systems, but to me, currently, if I can get it done on Linux, I do, because I think Linux it's not perfect, but it has way less problems than Microsoft. And Macintosh can be a pain in the ass trying to install software on older hardware, which I'm not a big fan of that. To me, it's easier installing older operating systems on older Windows operating systems than Mac. I've got 3 Macs down here, and my monitor that's, you might be able to see it. I'm still working on them. It's a pain in the ass to load older. See, what happens with some Macintosh hardware, newer versions of Mac operating systems do not support it any longer. And it can be a fucking pain in the ass trying to find the media on the internet. Alright, so let's demonstrate. I told you this video would be longer, but I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck how long my videos are. Like I said before, I don't give a fuck if you don't like my videos. Thumb them down. I highly, because the metrics, you don't know anything, do you? YouTube released a statement, although they didn't really publicly release it, but it's in their documentation. According to YouTube, it doesn't matter how many likes you get. It does not matter how many dislikes you get. They don't care about those metrics. Even comments don't matter. So you can thumb down my videos all you want. It's not going to affect my metrics. And I've known that for at least a year because I studied. To me, it's stupid. It's a duality. You either like something or you dislike. Well, that's stupid to me. That's only two-valued logic, which is not logic to me. So let's demonstrate. Let me transition. I have a Windows 10 machine. Now, this is my data recovery machine, which I need a third computer, really. I need a dedicated computer where I just can load any Windows software. And then I have 3 Macintoshes now. I plan on saving the best one. Yes, I am narcissistic, and yes, I'm selfish, and I'm going to sell the other 2. And, they're older Macintosh, but so what? I may not get that much money for them, but people, 95% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, therefore they're not rich, and I don't necessarily care about the middle class, and I do not care about the 5% or the 2%, the ruling class that are trillionaires, billionaires, and even millionaires. But I don't want to digress about my feelings about that. So I have it downloaded. Apache OpenOffice 4. I don't think that's correct. I even misnamed my download. It's 4.5.1 that we're dealing with. It's 134 megabytes, so that's pretty large. Still, I would say. It's a full install. In order to upgrade Apache OpenOffice, they do not have an automatic updater, and I don't even know if they have a notifier. Believe it or not, in order to update Apache OpenOffice, you have to download either the full version or the installer, which will download it from the internet. It will remove the prior version of Apache OpenOffice, and then it will reinstall it as if it's a brand new install. You may lose some of your customizations or your interface settings, which that's not very good to me, but that's what occurs. But it's been a long time since I've installed Apache OpenOffice. If I find out that they do have an automatic updater, which I don't think they do because I went through their frequently asked questions page on their official website, and it does not look like they have an automatic updater. They might have a notifier, but for now, that's what they supply with, which is kind of a deal breaker. Although, I will say this, LibreOffice, I'm not politically correct. If I fucking think something sucks or something is not productive for me and it may not be productive for you, I will say it. LibreOffice, they have an automatic updater. It used to work 3-4 years ago. Now it no longer works. Maybe it's Windows 10 or maybe it's a bug that I can fix. I don't have time to go over all this stuff. I run a computer business. That's kind of a deal breaker too, but at least they have an automatic notifier. At least at one time the automatic updater worked. Whereas Apache OpenOffice, they don't have an automatic updater, which to me can kind of be a deal breaker. Okay, because you'll lose some of your settings. So you'll get the user account control window, say yes. Then say just click next. It tells you welcome. You do not need the change the destination folder unless you need to. If you do not need to, don't worry about it. And yes, you can install multiple versions of Office on your computer. As a matter of fact, as a technician that worked for, I hate to say it, but I admit it, billion-dollar fascist corporations like International Bullshit Machines, also known as International Business Machines, I found out that you can even install multiple versions of Microsoft Office. That's a gold tip in my opinion, because let's say you might need a version of Microsoft Office that only supports some aspects of one of the tools that you're using, and you still need to use that older version of Office. All you do is you change the path. When you go to install, let's say you have Microsoft Office XP installed, which I think is 2003 or something like that. Well, and then you want to upgrade to Microsoft Office 2007. If you go and install it and don't change the destination folder, it will overwrite the old version of Office. What you do is you just install Office 2007 into a separate folder where you would change the path. Then you'll have two versions of Office. And from my understanding, this was like 10 years ago, it did not conflict. I don't know about in recent times, I don't know. But I think you could probably also install Microsoft Office along with Apache Office. I don't recommend it, but, I don't tell people what to do. I'm not the government. I'm not the military. I'm not a control freak. I want to become free. I don't want to be told what to do all the time. I know you do, but I can't help you if that's your mental paradigm. I'm different. And I'm glad I'm different than probably 98% of society. You could probably also install Apache OpenOffice and Apache LibreOffice because they're going to choose different folders, different destinations. Let's move on. Click Install. Click Next. Username, you can put whatever you want. I just put user. Oops. And I also, when I sell computers, I also a lot of times for the username or the name, I just put user. It's something generic. It's something that I could be a narcissist that I've been accused of since I like to talk and I like to make videos. But in America, how dare you talk? How dare you demand free speech? I could put, ANET computers or something stupid like that, but no. Or for the organization, I could put ANET computers. But then, people might not like that. And I think I have some empathy. Well, what would my customers appreciate? Would they appreciate a narcissist? Or would they appreciate something that's, kind of generic? So for organization, sometimes I also put the computer manufacturer. This computer is a power spec, so I'll just put that. You can put whatever you want. But I'll just put power spec. If it was a Dell computer, I'd just put Dell. And then install this application for. You can become selfish even more as an American, as you already are. And you could select only for me. What this does is if you have other users on this computer, if your wife has a user account, your daughter has a user account, your son has a user account, your mistress, your colleague, has a user account, then if you select only for me, then your wife, your mistress, your son and daughter, and whoever else with their user accounts on Microsoft Windows will not be able to use OpenOffice. If you choose anyone who uses this computer, it even says right there in plain language, all users. Anybody with a user account on this computer can use OpenOffice, which is really Apache. Now, back in the day, it was first known as OpenOffice. Back then, I liked it. But I could be wrong, but it seemed as if as soon as Apache acquired OpenOffice, it just went downhill since then. But that's just me. I still recommend it because even when I installed it, once it was acquired for Apache, I still thought it was more productive than Microsoft Office. Now, it depends on. If like a user like me, it doesn't affect me, but there could be times where if you are a hardcore Microsoft Office user, you might have difficulties. Now, generally, most files that I open from individuals that use Microsoft Office, I don't have a problem opening with either Apache Office or Libra, but I'm not a hardcore user. There could be certain plugins or certain CapEx spreadsheet, certain, database tables that just doesn't function properly, and that's where you would not waste time and then go ahead and purchase a Office 365 license. I'm not always skeptical, but I would say 90% of the time I am. And if you're offended by that, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about your feelings. My feelings don't care about my own feelings. I use computers logically, not politically or not emotionally. We'll click next. Typical. I usually choose custom because I just do. Typical would pre-select. If you're a beginner or if you just don't care, you might want to just use typical. I'm going to click custom because there's certain features. I like my software, believe it or not. Now, this is another possible gold tip. When I did work in corporate America, which I hate to admit it, but I admit it, it depended on, I noticed a pattern. Most accounts I worked for, I worked for some big corporations. United Healthcare, which purchased Pacific Care. I worked for IBM, was my employer for a while. Supplemental Employee was my label. I worked at Avaya. I worked at Lucent. I worked for the federal government, believe it or not. I worked at the Department of Interior in their FBMS department, which was a large accounting department. And I noticed a pattern. Generally, us technicians it was recommended that we go ahead and install everything because it solved a lot of problems. What can happen is that you'll install OpenOffice or whatever, or Microsoft Office for either an end user in a corporate environment or a government environment, or as you as an entrepreneur, one of your customers, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call. And they ask you, well, Aaron, you were just at my desk and you just reinstalled Microsoft Office and now I'm getting this error. Well, what happened is that you didn't install everything. And so one tool or one plugin or even one part of Office was not installed. And now you have to go back and, waste more time or spend more time. Whereas if you just go ahead and select this and then make sure that all of the modules are installed. The writer is the word processor for OpenOffice Apache. It's similar, it's the same, well, it's not the same thing. It's the open source version of Word or WordPerfect. Microsoft Word is OpenOffice's writer. Calculator is the spreadsheet. Draw is what's the Microsoft Office's version of Draw? The map, whatever. There's a version in Microsoft Office. It's been so many years since I ever had to support that crap. Impress, which is publisher, or no, the presentation slideshows. Base is just the base files. Math, you can create formulas and equations. Yeah, I think it is publisher. Publisher is the Microsoft Office where you can create slideshow and a presentation. Isn't that right? You know what? Let me Google it real quick. I don't want to sound like a fucking complete idiot. Let's see. Office Publisher. I think that's it. It's the page layout and design. Nah, it's not OneNote. It's not Word. I think it is Publisher. Here, let's see. Office Suite. And Microsoft Office Suite. Which is now known as Office 365, which I think is subscription only. Anyways, let's move along. Well, wait a minute. Here they are. Oh, my bad. PowerPoint. PowerPoint is the slideshow presentation, which with Apache OpenOffice would be Impress. You want to impress your boss so that on Monday he or she does not fire you because you're working on a slideshow presentation of your TPS reports. And God damn it, Aaron, if that goddamn report isn't on my desk at fucking 9 a.m. And yes, I cuss, Aaron. At 9 a.m. you're fired, Aaron, god damn it. So, optional components. This is what I'm talking about. You notice the red X's, that means that component will not be installed. Now, believe it or not, I learned from other technicians, even with Microsoft Office, that just go ahead and install everything. The only thing that we didn't install were like the language packs, because there's like, what, 100 of them, and that takes up disk space, and most people aren't going to use that. If somebody but that user might have a language pack installed that didn't get installed when you reinstalled Office for them, and they might tell you that. So that's, you just become aware of that. So right click, click on that drop down next to the red X, and then choose. Now this is another caveat. This feature and all subfeatures will be installed on local hard drive. This feature will be installed on local hard drive. This feature will not be available. I don't want to digress about that because there's a problem back in the day with Microsoft that if you didn't select it correctly, the feature will be on a server, and then if the server changes or the server goes down, then you can have problems, but I don't want to talk about that. I'm going to choose this feature and all sub-features will be installed on local hard drive. Because if I choose that, then the red X will disappear. If I choose the top one, then any sub-features won't get installed and there will still be a red X. There, it's gone. Same thing with this. Hit the drop down, choose the second one. Red X disappears. Choose the drop down, select the second one. And I verify, no red X's. I click next. You don't have to do that, but I would recommend it if you're a technician in a corporate environment, because that can save a lot of time later, and I already went over why. Some of the reasons why. Now here, could be very important. OpenOffice will automatically label file extensions so that any document that is marked as a doc or a docx will automatically open up in Apache OpenOffice. So if somebody emails you a Microsoft Word document, or however, somebody sends you a Microsoft Word document, Apache OpenOffice will attempt to automatically open it up for you. So you don't have to worry about, going to file, open, and then none of that crap. It'll automate. You double click it, it will open it up in Apache's Writer program. Same thing with Excel. Same thing with PowerPoint presentations. So click next. Create a start link on the desktop. I don't need that. Click install, but you can leave that there. And see, this is a dual core machine, 4 gigs of RAM, Windows 10 operating system. It's just my data recovery machine, which is very important to me, so that's why I don't like to fuck with it too much. I need to maybe get a virtual machine or a third computer that I just have as a separate computer to load software and troubleshoot bugs. And I could have a separate computer with all the software that I use that I think is productive, and then every time update it, and then I can make videos fixing bugs or showing you how to update or blah 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 blah. Click finish. But that didn't take that long, did it? Microsoft Office takes a lot longer. I still install Microsoft Office, believe it or not, because as an entrepreneur, I have business clients. I just had a client last month from downtown Denver. I'm not going to tell you the name of the business, but basically their function in capitalism is they go around and they buy. They're in the real estate business. We'll just leave it at that. And I had to troubleshoot a computer that was slow and fucked up, Windows 10, and I also had to set up and configure and set up two brand new computers for them, and I had to recover their data. I had to transfer their data from their old computer to the new computers. And they did use Microsoft Office. And look, I'm just very suspicious, or I don't know, whatever. When I talk to my clients, I don't, tell them how bad Microsoft is and tell them how bad Apple is. No, I just do what they want. And so I still install Microsoft Office, which is now Office 365. But on brand new computers that were, I think one was a dual core, one was a quad core, on Windows 10, it takes a long time to install it. What you do is you log into the Office 365 account, then you download the software and then install it. It fucking takes at least an hour. At least an hour. But did you see how quick Apache Office installed? All right. I don't need this anymore, but then it creates a folder. It creates the install files. What you could do is, if you think that you need to reinstall it later, or you want to have that peace of mind so that you do not have to re-download the installer again, you can save this folder. You can leave this folder on your desktop. You can delete it, or you can put it down somewhere in your downloads or wherever. You can archive this. What happens is, if you need to reinstall Apache OpenOffice, you would just click the setup.exe. These are the install files. I usually leave this on my desktop for a couple of days just to make sure that there's no problems with that software. And then I usually delete it. I save this executable is what I save. Now we can see how large this is. It's 136 megabytes. It's 2 megabytes larger. Anyways, you can do whatever you want. Now we're going to start some of the Apache Office, which is saved in OpenOffice. So we're just going to open the calculator, which is the spreadsheet. Verify, especially for my customers, I always verify. They even tell me, they even ask me, well, can you make sure that I can... Look, when I go into an environment, these people are relying on me to get their work done. If I fuck up their computers, or if I'm incompetent, or if I do not know what they're doing, then I can cost them time and money. So you have to know what you're doing, especially when you start a computer business and you go into residential environments, but especially business environments. It works. That's all I need to do. And then I verify. When I copy their data from their old computer to the new computer, I will go to their favorites, or I will go, sometimes it's on the desktop. I don't recommend that. If you have too many desktop shortcuts with shortcuts to files and folders and network drives and documents, that can actually slow down Windows. I don't know about Mac, but definitely on Windows. I'm not sure about Linux or Mac. It could also be on Linux and Mac. I will open up one of their documents, not to snoop, not to spy, just to make sure that that document opens up for them. And I before I leave, I do that. I also make sure that they can print. Or if they ask me, just please, make sure that I can do this tomorrow. Or some of my customers will be blunt. They'll say, well, just make sure I can get into Word, or make sure I can access my email, or make sure I can, open up my spreadsheets, or make sure I can get it on the internet. I'm not worried about the other aspects. If I can't print, that's cool. It just depends on. But I tried, I'm not going to go into the laundry list of things I verify before I leave a customer. This works. That's all I need to know. And then I'm going to go into Draw. Boom, it works. No errors, no bugs. It works. And then math. It's pretty quick. I mean, it's pretty, it doesn't seem slow, but this is a brand new install. You know what I'm saying? It works. And finally, I think maybe one more. How about the writer, which is probably the most popular aspects of a Office suite, I would say, in my opinion. Most people, well, your resume. You can, an average user that doesn't know anything about Excel spreadsheets or databases or PowerPoint presentations or whatever. Oh, but you tell them, oh, do you have a resume? Yes. Oh, well, what do you use to edit your resume? Oh, Microsoft Word. Oh, okay. It works. See? And you can open up Microsoft Word documents directly with either LibreOffice or Apache OpenOffice. And I've never ever had a problem. But again, I'm not a hardcore user that has to open up a Word document that links to Excel spreadsheets, that links to Access databases, that, blah, 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 blah. That's where you might have to use Microsoft Office, and it might be more productive, and it'll save you time and even money, perhaps, if you get a Office 365 subscription. I'm a big fan of open source software. That's all it is. I'm a big fan of Linux. But I do support Linux, Mac, and Windows computers. So that's Apache OpenOffice version, I think, is it 4.1.5? I'll just freestyle it. I think I'm either wrong. Apache OpenOffice Office 4.5.1. I think it is 4.5.1. You know what? I think I was right the first time. Yeah, I was right the first time. Good. 4.1.5. Adios.